So it's the university realized that most of the people in there just did good jobs, and well, they prefer to hire us than to fight us. There's really a big difference in the scene. I was walking around, and she told me not to tell anybody outside the scene that I'll see myself as a hacker and that stuff, because this is not really always.
Well, not the taxi driver. Like.
He was asking me.
Okay, so we're going to draw some conclusions here. Oh, question.
Oh, I was just going to say, what I know of Germany is that there's more of a cultural inclination to join clubs. You know, you have like soccer clubs or sports clubs or different sorts of clubs outside of a school setting.
Yes.
Like in this country, we pretty much only join organizations as an extracurricular activity.
What about your Kiwanis Club?
Well, right. Masons or whatever. I get the impression, just in terms of cultural differences, that in this country once we're out of school, we're not really like joiners.
More independent.
Like exactly, very independent. You could say isolated or also insular. You know, and that combined with this kind of cultural paranoia, where a lot of people feel that any kind of technical knowledge is a potential threat to national security, right? And like that attitude is actually picked up a lot recently.
Sure.
You know, so that if you have any knowledge of the interior workings of even a mag stripe reader, you know, like the girl at the grocery store is going to be, you know,
Freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this is just yet another one of the differences
So
that we have.
Now, that's all well and good. It's like it would be great if we could go in the direction of having an actual political entity, you know, that was recognized as whatever. If you watch the C-SPAN, you know, and you see the people from the EFF or the what's the other one, the privacy group in DC? I can't remember the acronym. You know, they don't. You know, they're basically like lobbying organizations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Sure. Oh, Prometheus Radio is a lobby organization also.
Political, though. In terms of like hackers, the EFF is more of a protection fund. It's more of a political.
Oh, I have nothing against the EFF.
Sure.
I'm saying it's like the EFF is like our version of the CCC, basically in terms of a political entity, but they don't really do anything more
You hit on one thing there.
the other thing. They're not
The way that the CCC is set up and recognized by the government there is something that we don't have. Like, they're named an official club with the government.
Yes, we
Correct me if I'm
have
wrong.
the so-called Verein, which is a law person. So if you just set up a Verein club, you don't have to sign anything by yourself, and if something goes wrong,
Is it dissimilar from a not-for-profit corporation?
It is dissimilar. It is dissimilar. The
Verein
kind
can
of,
can make profit.
well,
Yes.
but that's not
We
the
do.
biggest difference.
Yeah, but one.
Yeah, sure. The biggest difference is that, I mean, being a national group, you get certain benefits from that, right? Like, you get audience with parliament members, right?
Well, not everybody. You have
Well, not
to
everybody, but a
be there for a while. after
elected
you
member
get
of
that.
your group, right?
And if you're a soccer club of Stuttgart, you won't get an audience with the German parliament.
Okay. But it is a political entity that they have that we don't have. The closest thing that we have is a nonprofit, but it's still not the same.
Well, I just mean that it's not that uncommon of a thing for a club of people who are not in a school together or not working together in Germany, for a club to have a common space and common projects, or have like, you know, a room like that.
Sure.
Whereas here, it doesn't
Sure.
hurt.
Well, I mean, this is
You know.
just, it's just one of many reasons, right? Like, the fact that we aren't a country of joiners isn't the only reason that we don't have a hacker culture. I mean, we have a hacker culture. Here we are. We're all independent.
Could
And,
it be broken down into individual states? Could that have-
well, I think
We have states.
location has something.
Not so many, but we have states.
I mean, if you drive 8 hours in Germany, you're on the other side. right? Like, so, and driving 8 hours from New York to here is like, oh, that's nothing. So
Half of that is
that's
the size,
something.
half of this is speed on the motorways.
If you really want to get into it, you can come up with, you know, lots and lots and lots of differences that make our culture different from their culture. But one of the things that we want to conclude from all of this, from drawing all of these comparisons today, is what we can learn from each other. So we're going to talk about our biggest weaknesses and our biggest strengths, and your biggest weaknesses and your biggest strengths in your different culture. So, question?
Just a quick one for you. Mine. How is the EU affecting the U.S. politically?
We had some people from Austria and Switzerland in the CCC all the time. I don't think it's affecting the CCC at all.
What if they try to move over like the software patent laws from Ireland over into other areas of the EU?
They tried to. We fought that successful.
So there
They
is-
didn't come through.
There is certain friction already occurring. That's something you guys are-
Yes, but the European law got united in that case for software patents, and they wanted to set up a law again that enables software patents in the European Union, and we have been successfully fighting it. We don't have it. The discussion is over. We won't get software patents.
Oh, we're not done. We're not done. We have a couple more things to say, and then we have a couple announcements. So how much time do we have left?
About 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes. All right. So I'm going to go quickly. We're going to do weaknesses, and then we're going to do strengths. So the U.S., what are our weaknesses? I'm going to tell you mine, and then you can tell me yours. I think that, in general, we don't have enough discussion between different, enclaves of hacker culture. We mostly talk when we get together at cons, right? But otherwise, we're limited to the people in our area. Related to this, we don't have a central ideal or central infrastructure that gets them all of these different kinds of benefits, like money to have spaces and money to do projects. And by doing projects, they get a better public image, which lets them do more projects and have better spaces, etc. The projects that many of us think about and start here don't end up happening. And I think some of the number one reasons that they don't happen is we don't have money for them. We don't have time for them. We don't have the people for it, or we don't have the space for it. You can only, hack bikes with PIN codes in your garage for so long before your mom gets mad or your wife gets mad, or you couldn't probably do it for a year and a half, and if you could, you probably couldn't do it again for another year and a half, 10 years later, right? We have a bad public image. At the end of the day, I think this is our biggest weakness. And whatever we can do to work on our public image, one of the things they do is they have, at their space, they have an open day every week. Sometimes they have people speak that the public can come in and listen to, or they have an event for the public, right? So whatever we can do to involve the public and make sure that they're not afraid of us and see the good things that we do, I think the more we're going to be able to fix all of these other weaknesses that we have. Do you remember? Yes.
Yes. Well, John said you had not enough discussion. We have the opposite problem. We have lots of too much discussion. Usually in the CCC, if you bring something up, it starts a discussion about a month, thousands of emails written sometimes. And this gets to the point that, well, one part of the discussion is that really many people, I'd say more than 30%, are really unwilling to break even minor rules. Rules is a big thing in Germany. If you can follow the rules, you can get nearly everything. It's no problem if you follow the rules to get a radio. You have to work through that amount of paper, but after that you will get a license to transmit on the FM band for 6 days with, let's say, 50 watts, which ends up in an area of about 30 to 40 kilometers. And we have really...
Swear too, right?
Sorry?
You can swear.
Yeah, but they can't incite riot or talk about fascism. you know.
We can talk about those
This is-
4-letter words, but we can't talk about. There's some certain things who happened in Germany about 60 years ago, where you better do not talk about on the radio. Just
Your whole Putsch party, very similar.
But this is in stark contrast to the Pi radio that we had 24/7 in Boulder, Colorado at 150 watts, which had a range of about 40 miles at night. So because we were willing to break the rules, we got this benefit for it. No paper.
most of the people just don't like to break the rules and prefer to hack the system, write down lots of paper. This gets to the point that very many projects in Germany just don't happen because of lots of discussions. We had some projects for the year 2000, and after the discussion was over, we had 2002. So,
Question?
Quick contrast question.
Sure.
Would you say that in the U.S. we start lots of projects, we don't finish them, and in Germany we
We're
don't
getting to that,
start-
absolutely. I think that a lot of things, I mean, we at home in the Hacker Halfway House wanted to make a drink mixing machine so that we didn't have to mix our own drinks anymore. So you just go up to it and you say, I want to write Weiss Russian. I want it with soy milk, whatever, right? So we thought about this a lot, and we drew up schematics, and we ended up buying some valves to play with, and we had all this stuff, right? And then, you know, people moved out, and it's 2 years later, and it doesn't happen, right? But we played with it, and we tried, and we had all this discussion. I think that this is in contrast to some of the projects in Germany where if it's not perfect, or there's not
done.
agreement, it just doesn't
No
get
way.
started, right?
yeah, you have to have about 30 to 50 to 100 people that belongs to the size of the project to say, well, this is a good project, this is the way we do it is good, so let's do it.
Yes, you have enough people that you still get projects done.
Yeah. All over here in America, the people just get up and do something, and in Germany, we just form a circle and discover.
To this too much discussion end, as some of you might know, I worked on design for Hope 5, the Fifth Hope, and I also worked on design for 22C3 in Germany. Working on design, and I had a great experience with them, not to say anything, but an example of too much discussion is we spent 3 weeks discussing the font of the small letters in the logo. We spent 3 days on the website, and this shows, right? So if you want to look into things, and this is because the logo went to the main mailing list, as far as I know, right? And it was open for hundreds of people to discuss. So by the time we made the website, which wasn't done until I think 2-3 weeks before the actual event, I mean, we had something there, but we didn't have all of the information, right? So you can see how this too much discussion you can end up tripping over yourself and not getting your stuff done in that respect.
If you want to get something done, the main thing in Germany is to keep out the discussion. Which is really not easy, because if somebody will notice, you have the discussion.
For the artists out there, design is not a democratic process. Hitler was a designer.
What did I mean by that?
Yep, we're done. So here? No, he was a designer. Okay. I'm serious. He failed as an artist, and almost everyone who fails as an artist becomes a designer. So,
About the subcultures.
Right.
I'm a scene whore. Okay.
This whole talk can be done.
I gave a talk about that at 21C3 if anyone's interested. Okay, a couple more.
Teenagers intimidated?
Or this one. Both. Whatever.
I'll get this one first.
Okay.
When people come to the CCC, you usually have, when they introduce themselves, they say, well, I'm 18 years old, speak at least 2 or 3 programming languages and all those stuff, and I haven't showed up at the CCC because I thought I wasn't good enough. What is the problem? Because there are really many creative people we would like to have who just don't show up because as we have a so good public view, very many people say, well, I think I'm not good enough to join them. And this keeps really many people out. This is a problem. I think you have more the opposite problem here.
Teach me how to hack. Okay.
Like that.
So cultures. I think one of the strengths that we have here in the U.S., just to segue, is that I think a lot of the projects that we end up